The culture of Indonesia has been shaped by long interaction between original indigenous customs and multiple foreign influences. Indonesia is centrally located along ancient trading routes between the Far East, South Asia and the Middle East, resulting in many cultural practices being strongly influenced by a multitude of religions, including Hinduism, Buddhism, Confucianism, Islam and Christianity, all strong in the major trading cities. The result is a complex cultural mixture very different from the original indigenous cultures. Examples of the fusion of Islam with Hindu in Javanese Abangan belief, the fusion of Hinduism, Buddhism and animism in Bodha, and the fusion of Hinduism and animism in Kaharingan. Others could be cited. Balinese dances have stories about ancient Buddhist and Hindu kingdoms, while Islamic art forms and architecture are present in Sumatra, especially in the Minangkabau and Aceh regions. Traditional art, music and sport are combined in a martial art form called pencak silat. Western culture has greatly influenced Indonesia in science, technology and modern entertainment such as television shows, film and music, as well as political system and issues. India has notably influenced Indonesian songs and movies. A popular type of song is the Indian rhythmical dangdut, which is often mixed with Arab and Malay folk music. Despite the influences of foreign culture, some remote Indonesian regions still preserve uniquely indigenous culture. Indigenous ethnic groups Mentawai, Asmat, Dani, Dayak, Toraja and many others are still practicing their ethnic rituals, customs and wearing traditional clothes. Traditional performing arts, music. Indonesia is home to with those from the islands of Java, Sumatra and Bali being frequently recorded. The traditional music of Central and East Java and Bali is the gamelan. On the 29th of June 1965, Kos Plus, a leading Indonesian pop group in the 1960s, 1970s and 1980s, was imprisoned in Glodok, West Jakarta, for playing Western-style music. After the resignation of President Sukarno, the law was rescinded, and in the 1970s the Glodok prison was dismantled and replaced with a large shopping mall. Krongkong is a musical genre that uses guitars and ukulele as the main musical instruments. This genre had its roots in Portugal and was introduced by Portuguese traders in the 15th century. There is a traditional Kerongkong Tugu music group in North Jakarta and other traditional Kerongkong music groups in Maluku, with strong Portuguese influences. This music genre was popular in the first half of the 20th century. A contemporary form of Krongkong is called Pop Krongkong. Angklung Musical Orchestra, native of West Java, received international recognition as UNESCO has listed the traditional West Java musical instrument made from bamboo in the list of intangible cultural heritage. The soft sasando music from the province of Eastern USA Tenggara in West Timor is completely different. Sasando uses an instrument made from a split leaf of the lontar palm, which bears some resemblance to a harp. Dance. Indonesian dance reflects the diversity of culture from ethnic groups that composed the nation of Indonesia. Austronesian roots and Melanesian tribal dance forms are visible, and influences ranging from neighboring Asian countries such as India, China, and Middle East to European Western styles through colonization. Each ethnic group has their own distinct dances. Makes total dances in Indonesia are more than 3,000 Indonesian original dances. However, the dances of Indonesia can be divided into three eras: the prehistoric era, the Hindus-Buddhist era, and the era of Islam, and into two genres, court dance and folk dance. There is a continuum in the traditional dances depicting episodes from the Ramayana and Mahabharata from India, ranging through Thailand, all the way to Bali. There is a marked difference, though, between the highly stylized dances of the courts of Yogyakarta and Surakarta and the popular variations. While the court dances are promoted and even performed internationally, the popular forms of dance art and drama must largely be discovered locally. During the last few years, Saman from Nangro Aceh Darussalam has become rather popular and is often portrayed on TV. Reog Ponorogo is also a dance that originated from the district Ponorogo, East Java, which is a visualization of the legendary story Wangka Kingdom and the Kingdom of Kediri. A popular line dance called Poko Poko was originated in Indonesia and also popular in Malaysia, but at early April 2011 Malaysian Islamic clerics banned the Poko Poko dance for Muslims due to them believing it is traditionally a Christian dance and that its steps make the sign of the cross. Drama and theatre wayang, the Javanese, Sundanese, and Balinese shadow puppet theatre shows display several mythological legends such as Ramayana and Mahabharata, and many more. Wayang or Orang is Javanese traditional dance drama based on wayang stories. Various Balinese dance drama also can be included within traditional form of Indonesian drama. Another form of local drama is Javanese Ludruk and Ketoprak, Sundanese Sandiwara, and Betawi Linong. All of these drama incorporated humor and jest, often involving audiences in the performance. Randai is a folk theatre tradition of the Minangkabau people of West Sumatra, usually performed for traditional ceremonies and festivals. It incorporates music, singing, dance, drama and the silent martial art, with performances often based on semi-historical Minangkabau legends and love story. Modern performing art also developed in Indonesia with their distinct style of drama. Notable theatre, dance, and drama troupes such as Tita Koma gain popularity in Indonesia as the drama often portray social and political satire of Indonesian society. Martial art. The art of silat was created and firstly developed in the islands of Java and Sumatra. It is an art for survival and practiced throughout Indonesian archipelago. Centuries of tribal wars in Indonesian history had shaped silat as it was used by the ancient warriors of Indonesia. Silat was used to determine the rank and position of warriors in old Indonesian kingdoms. Contacts with Indians and Chinese has further enriched silat. Silat reached areas beyond Indonesia mainly through diaspora of Indonesian people. People from various regions like Aceh, Minangkabau, Bugis, Makassar, Java, Banjar, etc., moved into and settled in Malay Peninsula and other islands. They brought silat and passed it down to their descendants. The Indonesian of half-Dutch descent are also credited as the first to brought the art into Europe. Silat was used by Indonesian independence fighters during the struggle against the Dutch colonial rule. Unfortunately, after Indonesia achieving their independence, silat became less popular among Indonesian youth compared to foreign martial arts like karate and taekwondo. This probably because silat was not taught openly and only passed down among blood relatives. The other reason is the lack of media portrayal of the art. Efforts have been made in recent years to introduce and reintroduce the beauty of silat to Indonesian youth and the world. Exhibitions and promotions by individuals as well as state-sponsored groups helped the growing of silat's popularity, particularly in Europe and United States. Indonesian 2009 silat movie Merantau is one of Indonesian efforts to introduce silat to international scene. Another martial art from Indonesia is Tarung Derajat. It is a modern combat system created by Haji Ahmad Rajid based on his experience as a street fighter. Turang Derajat has been acknowledged as a national sport by CONI in 1998 and is now used by Indonesian Army as part of the basic training. Traditional visual arts. Painting. What Indonesian painting before the 19th century are mostly restricted to the decorative arts, considered to be a religious and spiritual activity, comparable to the pre-1400 European art. Artists' names are anonymous, since the individual human creator was seen as far less important than their creation to honor the deities as spirits. Some examples of the Kenya decorative art based on endemic natural motifs such as ferns and hornbills, found decorating the walls of Kenya longhouses. Other notable traditional art is the geometric Toraja wood carvings. Balinese painting are initially the narrative images to depict scenes of Balinese legends and religious scripts. The classical Balinese paintings are often decorating the Lontar manuscripts and also the ceilings of temples' pavilion. Under the influence of the Dutch colonial power, a trend toward Western-style painting emerged in the 19th century. In the Netherlands, the term Indonesian painting is applied to the paintings produced by Dutch or other foreign artists who lived and worked in the former Netherlands Indies. The most famous indigenous 19th-century Indonesian painter is Raden Saleh, the first indigenous artist to study in Europe. His art is heavily influenced by Romanticism. In the 1920s, Walter Spies settled in Bali. He is often credited with attracting the attention of Western cultural figures to Balinese culture and art. His works has somehow influenced Balinese artists and painters. Today Bali has one of the most vivid and richest painting tradition in Indonesia. The 1920s to 1940s were a time of growing nationalism in Indonesia. The previous period of Romanticism movement was not seen as a purely Indonesian movement and did not develop. Painters began to see the natural world for inspiration. Some examples of Indonesian paint during this period are the Balinese Ida Bagus Made and the realist Basuki Abdullah. The Indonesian Painters Association was formed during this period. PERSAGI established a contemporary art philosophy that saw artworks as reflections of the artist's individual or personal view as well as an expression of national cultural thoughts. For the 1940s on, artists started to mix Western techniques with Southeast Asian imagery and content. Painters that rooted in the revolutionary movement of the World War and the post-World War period started to appear during this period, such as Sujojono, Affandi, and Hendra. During the 1960s, new elements were added when abstract expressionism and Islamic art began to be absorbed by the art community. Also during this period, a group of painters that are more concerned about the reality of Indonesian society began to appear, taking inspiration from the social problems such as division between the rich and the poor, pollution and deforestation. The national identity of Indonesia was stressed by these painters through the use of a realistic, documentary style. During the Sukarno period, this socially engaged art was officially promoted, but after 1965 it lost popularity due to its presumed communist tendencies. 3 art academies offer extensive formal training in visual art. Bandung Institute of Technology, founded in 1947, the Akademi Seni Rupa Indonesia or ASI, now known as ISI, in Yogyakarta was inaugurated in 1950, and the Institute Kesenian Jakarta or IKJ was opened in 1970. Sculpture. Indonesia has a long history of stone, bronze and Iron Ages arts. The megalithic sculptures can be found in numerous archaeological sites in Sumatra, Java to Sulawesi. The native Indonesian tribes have their own distinct tribal sculpture styles, usually created to depict ancestors, deities and animals. The pre-Hindu, Buddhist and pre-Islamic sculptures can be traced in the artworks of indigenous Indonesian tribes. The most notable sculptures are those of its matte wooden sculpture of Papua, the Dalyuk wooden mask and sculpture, the ancestral wooden statue of Toraja, also the totem-like sculpture of Batak and Nias tribe. The stone sculpture art form particularly flourished in 8th to 10th century Java and Bali, which demonstrate the influences of Hindu-Buddhist culture, both as stand-alone works of art and also incorporated into temples. Most notable sculpture of classical Hindu-Buddhist era of Indonesia of the hundreds of meters of relief and hundreds of stone Buddhas at the temple of Borobudur in central Java. Approximately 2 miles of exquisite relief sculpture tell the story of the life of Buddha and illustrate his teachings. The temple was originally home to 504 statues of the seated Buddha. This site, as with others in central Java, show a clear Indian influence. The examples of notable Indonesian Hindu-Buddhist sculptures are the statues of Hindu deities Shiva, Vishnu, Brahma, Urga, Ganesha and Agastya enthroned in rooms of Prambanan temples, the Vishnu mounting Garuda statue of King Airlangga, the exquisite statue of Eastern Javanese Prajnaparamita and 3.7 meters tall Varapula dated from Singhasari period, and also the grand statue of Bhairava Adityawarman discovered in Sumatra. Today, the Hindu-Buddhist style stone sculptures are reproduced in villages in Muntilan near Borobudur, also in Trowulan, the former capital site of Majapahit in East Java, and Bali, and sold as gardener pool ornament statues for homes, offices and hotels. Today in Indonesia, the richest, most elaborate and vivid wooden sculpture and wood carving traditions can be found in Bali and Jepara, central Java. Balinese handicrafts such as sculptures, masks, and other carving artworks are popular souvenir for tourists that have visited Indonesia. On the other hand, the Jepara wood carving are famous for its elaborately carved wooden furnitures, folding screens, also pilaman and gebyok architecture. For centuries, the Indonesian vernacular architecture has shaped settlements in Indonesia which commonly took form of timber structures built on stilts dominated by large roof. The most dominant foreign influences on Indonesian architecture were Indian, although European influences have been particularly strong since the 19th century, and modern architecture in Indonesia is international in scope. As in much of Southeast Asia, traditional vernacular architecture in Indonesia are built on stilts, with the significant exceptions of Java and Bali. Notable stilt houses are those of the Dalyuk people in Borneo, the Rumah Gadang of the Minangkabau people in western Sumatra, the Rumah Bolan of the Batak people in northern Sumatra, and the Tongkonan of the Toraja people in Sulawesi. Oversized saddle roofs with large eaves, such as the homes of the Batak and the Tongkonan of Toraja, are often bigger than the house they shelter. The fronts of Torajan houses are frequently decorated with buffalo horns, stacked one above another, as an indication of status. The outside walls also frequently feature decorative reliefs. The 8th century Borobudur temple near Yogyakarta is the largest Buddhist temple in the world, and is notable for incorporating about 2,672 relief panels and 504 Buddha statues into its structure, telling the story of the life of the Buddha. As the visitor ascends through the 8 levels of the temple, the story unfolds. The final 3 levels simply containing stupas and statues of the Buddha. The building is said to incorporate a map of the Buddhist cosmos and is a masterful fusion of the didactic narrative relief, spiritual symbolism, monumental design and the serene meditative environs. The whole monument itself resembles a giant stupa, but seen from above it forms a mandala. The nearby 9th-century temple complex at Prambanan contains some of the best preserved examples of Hindu temple architecture in Java. The temple complex comprises 8 main shrines, surrounded by 224 smaller shrines. The Indian influence on the site is clear, not only in the style of the monument, but also in the reliefs featuring scenes from the Ramayana which adorned the outer walls of the main temples, and in the votive statuary found within. Crafts. Several Indonesian islands are famous for the batik, ikat and songket cloth. Once on the brink of disappearing, batik and later ikat found a new lease on life when former President Suharto promoted wearing batik shirts on official occasions. In addition to the traditional patterns with the special meanings used for particular occasions, batik designs have become creative and diverse over the last few years. Other noted Indonesian crafts are Jepara wood carving and Kris. In 2005, UNESCO recognized Kris as one of masterpiece of the oral and intangible heritage of humanity from Indonesia. Recreation and sports. Many traditional games are still preserved and popular in Indonesia, although Western culture has influenced some parts of them. Among 300 officially recognized Indonesian cultures, there are many kinds of traditional games. Cockfighting in Bali, annual bull races in Madura, and stone jumping in Nias. Stone jumping involves leaping over a stone wall about up to 1.5 meters high and was originally used to train warriors. Pencak silat is another popular form of sport which was influenced by Asian culture as a whole. Another form of national sport is sepak takraw. The rules are similar to volleyball, to keep the rattan ball in the air with the player's feet. Popular modern sports in Indonesia played at the international level include football, badminton and basketball. Badminton is one of Indonesia's most successful sports. Indonesian badminton athletes have played in Indonesia Open Badminton Championship, All England Open Badminton Championships, and many international events, including the Summer Olympics, and won Olympic gold medals since badminton was made an Olympic sport in 1992. Rudy Hartono is a legendary Indonesian badminton player who won All England titles 7 times in a row. Indonesian teams have won the Thomas Cup 13 of the 22 times that it has been contested since they entered the series in 1957. In the hugely internationally popular sport of football, Indonesian teams have been active in the Asian Football Confederation. Sporting events in Indonesia are organized by the Indonesian National Sports Committee. The committee, along with the government of Indonesia, have set a National Sports Day on every 9th of September with Sports for All as the motto. Indonesia has hosted the Southeast Asian Games 4 times, in 1979, 1987, 1997 and 2011, and won overall champion title in each of these years. As of 2011, Indonesia has won champion titles 10 times overall out of 18 SEA Games it has attended since debuted in 1977. The country also hosted the 1993 Asian Basketball Championship. Cuisine. The cuisine of Indonesia has been influenced by Chinese culture and Indian culture, as well as by Western culture. However, in return, Indonesian cuisine has also contributed to the cuisines of neighboring countries, notably Malaysia and Singapore, where Padang and Minangkabau cuisine from West Sumatra is very popular. Also satay, which originated from Java, Madura, and Sumatra, has gained popularity as a street vendor food from Singapore to Thailand. In the 15th century, both the Portuguese and Arab traders settlers arrived in Indonesia with the intention of trading for pepper and other spices. During the colonial era, immigrants from many countries arrived in Indonesia and brought different cultures as well as cuisines. Most native Indonesians eat rice as the main dish, with a wide range of vegetables and meat as side dishes. However, in some parts of the country, such as Irian Jaya and Ambon, the majority of the people eat sago and sweet potato. The most important aspect of modern Indonesian cuisine is that food must be halal, conforming to Islamic food laws. Haram, the opposite of halal, includes pork and alcohol. However, in some regions where there is a significant non-Muslim population, non-halal foods are also commonly served. Indonesian dishes are usually spicy, using a wide range of chili peppers and spices. The most popular dishes include nasi goreng, satay, nasi padang, and soy-based dishes, such as tofu and tempeh. A unique characteristic of some Indonesian food is the application of spicy peanut sauce in the dishes, as a dressing for gado-gado, a karedok, or for seasoning grilled chicken satay. Another unique aspect of Indonesian cuisine is using terasi ikan, a pungent shrimp paste in dishes of sambal olek. The sprinkling of fried shallots also gives a unique crisp texture to some Indonesian dishes. Chinese and Indian cultures have influenced the serving of food and the types of spices used. It is very common to find Chinese food in Indonesia, such as dim sum and noodles, and Indian cuisine such as tandoori chicken. In addition, Western culture has significantly contributed to the extensive range of dishes. However, the dishes have been transformed to suit Indonesian tastes. For example, steaks are usually served with rice. Popular fast foods such as Kentucky Fried Chicken are served with rice instead of bread and sambal instead of ketchup. Some Indonesian foods have been adopted by the Dutch, like Indonesian rice table or rijstafel. Popular media. Cinema. The largest chain of cinemas in Indonesia is 21 Cineplex, which has cinemas spread throughout 24 cities on the major islands of Indonesia. Many smaller independent cinemas also exist. In the 1980s, the film industry in Indonesia was at its peak, and dominated the cinemas in Indonesia with movies that have retained a high reputation, such as Catatan Si Boy and Blok M, and actors like Ongki Alexander, Meriam Bellina, Naikadila, and Paramitha Rusady. The film TMII winning 9 Citra Awards at the 1988 Indonesian Film Festival. It was also the first Indonesian movie chosen for screening at the Cannes Film Festival, where it was awarded Best International Film in 1989. However, the film industry failed to continue its successes in the 1990s, when the number of movies produced decreased significantly from 115 movies in 1990 to just 37 in 1993. As a result, most movies produced in the 1990s contained adult themes. In addition, movies from Hollywood and Hong Kong started to dominate Indonesian cinema. The industry started to recover in the late 1990s, with the rise of independent directors and many new movies produced, such as Garuda Nugroho's Cinta Dalam Sepotong Roti, Riri Riza and Maya Lesmana's Petualangan Sherina and Arasan by Nia Dinata. Another form of recovery is the re-establishment of the Indonesian Film Festival, inactive for 12 years, and the creation of the Jakarta International Film Festival. Dawn Diata's Bantal received the Best Movie Award in the 1998 Asia Pacific Film Festival in Taipei. Television radio. The state radio network Radio Republik Indonesia was founded in 1945. It consists of a network of regional stations located in all 33 provinces of the archipelago. In most cities and large towns there are also many commercial stations. Since 2006, several digital radio stations have been based in Jakarta and Surabaya, using digital audio broadcasting and hybrid HD radio. Religion and philosophy. Islam is Indonesia's main religion, with almost 88% of Indonesians declared Muslim according to the 2000 census, making Indonesia the most populous Muslim majority nation in the world. The remaining population is 9% Christian, of which roughly two-thirds are Protestant, with the remainder mainly Catholic, and a large minority Charismatic, 2% Hindu and 1% Buddhist. The Pancasila, the statement of two principles which encapsulate the ideology of the Indonesian state, affirms that the state shall be based on the belief in the one and only God. Celebrations.